Hello everyone, my name is Eric Chu and this is a demo for a module I'm calling Commerce Rental, which is going to try and implement rental products in Drupal Commerce on Drupal 8. So right now my test site is just a fresh install of Drupal 8, and I've already enabled the commerce modules and my commerce rental module and the admin toolbar. I've also went ahead and set up a store, so let's go ahead and begin. So you'll see that there's quite a few more entries in the commerce menu. First thing we'll want to do is go to our order types, and the module creates a new workflow for orders. This adds a couple new states and transitions for handling when rental items are sent out and when they're returned. Okay, so we'll go ahead and add a rental here. And you'll see that we can't until we add some rental periods. So we can either do that there or go through our UI here. So for this demo, I'm going to have 3 different rental periods that we can choose from. We'll do a daily, a weekly, which will be based on 7 days, and monthly is going to be, we're calling it 28 consecutive days. Okay, so let's go back to our rental. And this is pretty much just the same thing as adding a product and a product variation. So we'll just call this rental 1, rental variation 1. And this is where we add our rental rates. So this is an entity reference revisions field that points to a new paragraph type that the Commerce Rental module defines. So we can go ahead and take a look at that. Let's see what's going on. So we've got 2 fields. One is an entity reference that points to our rental periods, and the other is a price field. So what this does is it allows us to add as many rental rates as we want, and you can see here that the rental periods that we've created will show up here. So let's go ahead and assign some rental rates. So the next thing we'll need to do is create what I call instances. These are the physical items that you will be sending to your customer. So these are typically tracked by a serial number. So let's go ahead and create a few of these. And now instances also have a workflow associated with them, and this is the default one that I have created, but you can create new rental instance types and assign workflow for any rental instance type you'd like. And the rental variation type, you choose what instance type belongs to that bundle. So let's create a few of these. Okay. So this is what our rental looks like so far. We can see our rental rates here, and this table here is created through a twig template for the rental rates field. So if you wanted to customize this, you can pretty easily. Um, Now you'll see that there's a new order item type called rental, and that adds two new fields. You've got a date range field called rental period, and then there's also another field called instance, which will be a reference to the instance that gets assigned to that order item. So let's go ahead and add some to the cart. So right now, the rental period includes the start date and end date as full days. Um, Time is not taken into consideration, but I do have plans for creating hourly rates, but that is not implemented quite yet. So this would be a 2-day rental here. So we'll go ahead and add that to the cart. We'll do a 3-day rental. And let's do a week rental, which would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 days. So we should have 3 items. One should be 150, another should be 225, and the last one's going to be a week, which would be 255. And we can see that right there. Now let's talk about the quantity field real quick. So right now I haven't really decided how I would like to handle that. We don't really want people to just increment this because the instance field on the order item only holds one instance. So it wouldn't make sense to have a quantity of 2 here. So one thing we could do is just disable this field and only allow it to be set to 1. Or we could make it when the quantity is more than 1, it will create a duplicate of this order item and set this back to 1. But right now that is not being handled, so just keep that in mind. Let's go ahead and check out. Okay, so I'm just gonna enter some information here. In the order summary area, definitely needs some theming work done, but that shouldn't be too hard. So we can see we've got our correct total here, and we'll pay and complete. And now let's take a look at what our order looks like in the admin area. So our order is now in the fulfillment state. So this would be when you are getting the rental items together and getting ready to send them out. Let's take a look at the order items too while we're in here. So you'll see that an instance has been assigned to this order item. And you can also change the rental period as well. So this one has our second instance and our third instance. Now you can override the unit price if you want to. This is a custom widget that I've created since unit price is not, it doesn't require you to enter that in there because it's calculated for you. However, if override unit price is selected, then the rental rate will not be taken into consideration. It'll just use what you enter in here. Okay. So another thing I'd like to show is, so for this variation, we've only created 3 instances. So let's see what happens when we add another one. Now you'll notice that the instance field is not being shown, and that's because we haven't selected a rental variation, so we don't know what instances we can choose from yet. So when we select this rental variation, you'll see an Ajax event, and this list is then populated with the instances that are tied to this rental variation. So if you'd like to manually assign one, you can just choose it. If you leave it at auto select, there is a plugin that you can define which chooses, which allows you to have custom logic to choose what instance should be assigned. The one that comes out of the box takes into consideration the rental periods that are assigned to that instance already, and it also looks at the states of each instance to determine which one would be the best pick. So let's go ahead and just create another order item to show what happens when there's not one available. So you'll see we get a warning here that no instance is available for rental variation 1. So if we go back in here and take a look, it's still set at auto select. Now the selector runs every time an order is saved. It'll look at the rental order items, and for any order item that doesn't have an instance assigned to it, it will try and select one. And this is only for orders that are not in the cart state. So when the customer completes the checkout, that's when this logic will be run. On the admin side of things, it will be it'll run regardless as long as it's not a cart. Okay, so let's go ahead and just remove this extra one for now. So the next thing we want to look at is the transitions that are available for this workflow. So right now, let's assume that the customer now has the rental items. So we can set this to the out state. And when we do that, there's an event that goes through and looks at all of the, event subscriber that will set the state of all of our instances to the out state. So we can see that on our rental, if we look at the variation that we've added, these are now set to the out state. And then when the rental comes back to us, we can return the order, and you'll see that the instances are all set to a maintenance state. Now you can customize the workflow for this if you don't need a maintenance state, or if you need more states. That's pretty simple to set up. So that's pretty much it for this demo. There's quite a few more things that can be configured for this module, but I won't go over all of that today. So let me know what you guys think. Hoping that I can spark some interest in this module and see where it goes from there.